श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम. Dear friends, in the Siddhanta Bindu now we have come to the discussion where Madhusudana Saraswati has put forth a topic for discussion, that is mokshe sukham samvedyate nava. Mokshe, that means in the state of liberation, sukham samvedyate nava. That means whether bliss or happiness is experienced or not. So two options are there. So because purushartha means that which is sought after by the soul or which should be sought after by the soul. So whatever the soul should seek, that is purushartha. So dharma and moksha, that should be sought after. Artha and kama, they are already sought after. So this way, whatever the soul tries to get, that is purushartha. But in purushartha also, we find two types. One is ishta prapti, another is anishta parihara. That means whatever we desire, obtaining that is ishta prapti, and whatever we don't want, so avoiding that is anishta parihara. So purusharthata is of two types. But in ishta prapti also sometimes it so happens that something which is unobtained hitherto, so that is obtained. So that is also one prapti. But sometimes it is already obtained, but we have forgotten and we are thinking that we are getting it again. So this is the second type. Similarly with the anishta parihara also. See, anishta, really if it is there and we are avoiding that, it is one type. Sometimes anishta is not there, it is only superimposed as a result of illusion, like snake on the rope. So we are trying to avoid that, but nothing is there. So this is Advaita. So in Advaita, that ishta prapti is already there, anishta parihara is also there, because self is swaprakasha and ananda swarupa, but still we try as if we are getting it afresh, new, as if we are avoiding that new. So this is only because of avidya. Now Madhusudana Saraswati explains na adyaha. So this is Purvapaksha only. So the Purvapakshi says that in the state of liberation, bliss is not experienced or experienced. So he takes the first option. So if somebody says bliss is experienced, that's what our Advaitins say. Na adyaha. The Purvapakshan does not accept. Says tadanim dehendriya adi abhavena tad vyanchaka abhava. It's very obvious that because there are no body, senses, mind, etc. in the state of liberation, so we cannot accept the experience of liberation. Because to experience bliss in the state of liberation, we require some substratum, some means. So these should be there. Without a body, without the senses, how can we experience bliss? So therefore, na adyaha. Vyanjaka bhavepi tat samvedana abhyupagame. Then if you, the Advaitin, argue that in the state of liberation there may not be any substratum, there may not be any factor that can express bliss, still there is bliss. If you say so, our argument is, in that case, that means even in the absence of the bliss, even in the absence of any means, the bliss can be experienced. If your contention is so, then samsara dashayam api tatha prasanga. Then in this state of jivatva, so let it be experienced. If it is experienced, then there will not be any difference between moksha and samsara. This is the argument. So the argument is very clear. You accept bliss in the state of liberation or not? If you accept, no. It is not possible in the state of liberation because there is no factor that expresses bliss. And if you say that no factor is required, the bliss is so expressed, experienced also in the state of liberation, then if that is the case in the state of liberation, then why don't you accept that in the state of this samsara also? And if you accept it, then the sukha being in the state of samsara, there is no difference between liberation and samsara. Then why should we try for moksha separately? Na dvitiyaha. If you say that bliss is not experienced in the state of liberation, apurusharthatapatte hai. And we say, then moksha will not be a purushartha at all. Because why should a soul seek for moksha if there is no bliss at all? Nayayika also says the same thing, that there is no bliss. It is only aupacharika prayoga on the absence of dukkha, that it is stated as bliss. It is just absence of all suffering. Now, if there is no bliss, then why should we try to get the state of moksha? Nyayamanasya tasya purusharthatvat. So, see, sukha will be purushartha only when it is experienced. Atayeva sharkara tad bhojanoriva iti vaishnava manyanam udgaraha iti ched. There may be sugar, but there should be a person to enjoy that, taste it. Similarly, in the state of moksha also, if the sukha is understood as the very nature of moksha, there should be somebody to experience it. Otherwise, sukha may be there, but there is no apparatus or means or instrument to enjoy it. Then there will not be a purushartha at all. So this way, Vaishnavam Manyanam Udgaraha. Madhusudan Saraswati says that some people who call themselves as Vaishnava utter these words. That means their continuation is this, that such a state of moksha cannot be accepted at all. So this is generally the Dvaita view. Iti chet na ityaha. So in the shloka it is said, Swatasiddha bhavat. It is Swatasiddha, not something which is artificially acquired. So Swaprakasha Jnana Swarupatvat, because it is moksha is Jnana Rupa and it is Swaprakasha. That means it is self-referent. It does not require any other factor to illuminate that or prove that. It is self-reliant. Yadyapi samsara dashayam avidya vrtatva rupatvad atma paramananda rupataya na prathate. But the only problem is, in the state of samsara also there is sukha, there is ananda. But because of avidya, that ananda is not being experienced in its totality. Na prathate, na bhasate. So that is the problem. Avidya is there. And avidya is very deep rooted. And because of that avidya, that bliss is not fully experienced in the state of samsara, though it is there. Otherwise, the sukha will be anitya, but it is nitya. So every state it is there. The only problem is something is hindering, something is blocking the experience. Tathapi tattva vidya avidya nivritto swaprakashataya swayameva paramanandataya prakashati iti na vyanjakapeksha. Then what happens? Yes, it is blocked. It is stopped somewhere, blocked. But when a person gets enlightenment, realization, as Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhava is the reality, and I am not different from that. So when this particular realization dawns upon in a person, then this avidya nivritti, the avidya is removed. When avidya is removed, that Nitya Sukha, that is Nitya Ananda, that expresses itself. So therefore, it does not require any other factor to express it. No other factor is required. So in the state of liberation also, when avidya is removed, that particular moment itself is, you may call with different names. Removal of avidya, expression of sukha, or the state of liberation. The names may be different, but the experience is same, the state will be the same. So there will not be any dependence on such factors. Nanu, again, kind of akshepa, sukhasya swaprakash jnana rupatvepi natma rupata jnanasya dhatvartha rupataya kriyatvena sashrayatvat janamiti pratitir jnanam ahamasmiti apratitescha तथा च कथम अद्वैतवादः इति आशंक्य. So this is the ashanka. What is the ashanka? So the opponent argues, one, see, sukha may be jnana swarupa, that may be atma swarupa. Swaprakasha jnana rupatvepi. So you, Advaiti, intends to say that sukha is jnana rupa and swaprakasha and is the very nature of atma. This is your contention. And we say, yes, sukha may be swaprakasha and jnana rupa, but may not be the nature of the soul, self. Why? The argument goes like this. Jnanasya dhatvartha rupataya jnanam. So aham janami. This is actually from jna dhatu. And dhatvartha rupataya kriyatvena. Because even in the Vyakarana Shastra we find phala vyaparayohu dhatuhu. What is the meaning of a dhatu? Dhatu means root. That is nothing but phala and vyapara. If both are taken, there will be nanarthata. But actually, phala visishta dhatu, if you say phala visishta vyapara, if you say that is dhatvartha, there will not be any problem. So there, here, vyapara, vyaparo bhavana, saiva utpadana, saiva chakriya. Kriyaha akarmakatapatte nahi dhatvartha ishyate. So this, what is that dhatvartha? It is vyapara. What is vyapara? It is nothing but kriya. So therefore, jnana is equal to, it is a kriya. Dhatvartha rupataya kriyatvena sashrayatvat. Then if it is a kriya, then there should be a kriya shriya. That means vyapara shraya karta. So janami, when you say automatically jnana, that is a kriya, and that presupposes the existence of a substratum like karta. So karta should be there. Iti pratitehe. And see, in the world also, everybody says jnanavanaham. I have the knowledge. Nobody says I am the knowledge. So how can you say jnanam is the atma swarupa? So there should be two. One is the experiencer and the other is the experienced. So subject, object, different. Katham advaita vadaha. So therefore, how do you say that there is advaita? So advaita is not possible. Iti chet. So if that is the ashanka, na ityaha. So its refutation you find here. Ananya ashriyatvat. You say that jnana is a kriya and it requires a substratum. And we say, that means Adi Shankaracharya says in the 9th shloka, Ananya ashriyatvat. It does not require any other locus or place or substratum. Not required. Yat sakshad aparokshad brahma ayam atma sarvantaraha satyam jnanam anantam brahma vijnanam anandam brahma iti shrutehe. So all these scriptural sentences like sakshat aparokshad brahma, which is immediate, which does not require any other instrument or substratum, and ayam atma sarvanubhuhu sarvantaraha, this self itself is the true nature of everything and the experiencer, and it is satyam jnanam anantam brahma. It doesn't say satyam jnanavat jnanavan atma. It doesn't say vijnanam anandam brahma. So on the basis of all these scriptural sentences we conclude that the atma is verily of the nature of jnana, and swaprakasha jnanananda rupa eva atma. So it is swaprakasha. Swaprakasha means that which does not depend on any other external or internal apparatus for its manifestation, and it expresses itself. Swaprakasha, self-referent. And Jnana Ananda Rupaha. And Jnana and Ananda are the very nature of this Atma. Antahkaranadi Upadhi Tadakmya Adhyasena cha. It's only superimposition that we identify with the inner sense organ, ahankara, man, etc. We just superimpose. And tadvruttau, when there is antahkarana vritti, jnana adhyasat janamiti tadashrayatva pratitihi. So, because of this particular identity with the internal sense organ, we say janami. That means with reference to the antahkarana. When that particular kind of antahkarana modification is created, is born, then with reference to that we say janami. But otherwise, Atma does not know, because jnatrutva, kartrutva, bhoktrutva, all these are the characteristics of the matter prakriti, and they are superimposed on the Atma. Therefore, Atma is neither karta, bhokta, jnata. This is the essential theory of the Advaita Vedanta. Dhatvarthatvam utpatti vinashavatvam cha antahkarana vrittereveti jnapti rupam. So he says, it's actually utpatti vinasha. That means jnana is created, jnana is destroyed. Now I got jnana. Here before I didn't have jnana, etc. All this is with reference to the antahkarana vritti. So when that particular vritti is born, we say, yes, the jnana is created. When that vritti is destroyed or it stops, ceases to exist, we say the jnana is also absent. So this is all with reference to the vritti, but not jnana. Jnana is nitya because it is the nature of the Atma. So jnapti rupa mukhya jnanasya sarvadhishthanatvena. So this is discussed in the Vedanta Paribhasha also. Now he makes clear that jnapti rupa mukhya jnanasya, this is aupacharika jnana, but there is another mukhya jnana. In what form? It is in the form of jnapti, that is chit, chaitanya. So in that form it is nitya, sarvadhishthanatvena, and it is the locus of everything. And anyashriyatva abhavat, so it does not depend on any other thing. So therefore, na dvaita apattihi. So in that way, there is no dvaita apatti. That means the problem of landing in dvaita. So there is no dvaita at all. If you accept any other reality, that means other than the Brahman, there will be dvaita. In the state of moksha also, liberation also, if you accept some other thing than the Brahman, then it will be dvaita. So therefore, indriya, mana, buddhi, ahankara, nothing is there. And then how is there the expression of bliss? He says it is the very nature of Atma, therefore it is manifested. And that manifestation itself is moksha. Tena jnana sukhatmaka atma satyaha. So the reality, ultimate reality is the self in the form of jnana and sukha. Tad bhinnam cha sarvam jagat asatyamiti siddham. And everything other than the self is unreal. So this is proved. Now we come to the 10th shloka, Dasha Shloki, the last shloka. Now again the opponent argues, Nanu sarvasya jagatas tuchhatve tan nishedhena atmatattva pratipattim na syat. Now, this is a typical argument that if you discard everything, deny the existence of everything as tuchha, mithya, unreal, so everything is discarded, then the very nature of Atma cannot be understood, perceived then. What is this logic? After denying everything only, the Atma is truly perceived. This is Advaita view. But the opponent says, if you discard everything as unreal, then the Atma cannot be perceived in its true nature. Nahi Sesha Vishanam Nishidhyate. He says, Sesha Vishana. That means the horn of a rabbit or hare. So he says, look at that. that particular word, because there is no such thing in the word. Shesha Vishana, because no rabbit has horns. But when somebody says Shesha Vishana, nobody cannot deny, because there is no Shesha Vishana in the world. Shesha Vishanam nishidhyate, because as a rule, kvachit pramitam, kvachit nishidhyate. The rule is that can be negated in totality only when it is perceived somewhere. So something is perceived somewhere and it can be negated somewhere else. Yes, you have seen silver somewhere and you have negated that the conch seashell is not silver. So this way you can negate that only when you have the knowledge of that somewhere. But when you deny the existence of the world in its totality, then how can you negate it? For negation, you require the knowledge of that. Tadhacha nishedha anupapatyeva. So therefore, the negation of the world itself is unbased. Na jagatastuchatvam. Therefore, because the world cannot be negated, it is not mithya. So this is the argument. Na ityaha. Now, as an answer to that, Adi Shankaracharya says, Na chaikam tadanyad dvitiyam kutasyat. Na chaikam tadanyad dvitiyam kutasyat. Nava kevalatvam. Nacha kevalatvam. Nava kevalatvam. Nacha kevalatvam. Na shunyam. Nacha shunyam. Advaitakatvat. Katham sarva vedanta siddham bravimi. Adi Shankaracharya is saying, yes, how can I express the beauty of Advaita? Because my problem is, in what terms I can explain the Advaita? Na chaikam, it is not one. Tad anyat dvitiyam kutasyat, then how can there be any second one? Nava kevalatvam, it is neither kevala. Nacha kevalatvam, it is not akevala. Na shunyam, it is not complete absence of things. That means total nihilism. Nacha shunyam, you cannot say it's totally absent. It's neither non-existent nor existent. Then advaita katvat tat katham sarva vedanta siddham bravimi. So how can you tell you about this Advaita, which is established in all the Upanishads? Ekatva Sankhya Yogi Ekam. What is Ekam? Ekatva Sankhya Yogi. That means Ekam is that which has the number Ekatva, the Sambandha, the relation. So when there is Ekatva, it is Eka. Tad Apeksha Buddhijanya Dvitva Sankhya Yogi Dvitiya. Then when do you say Dvitiya? That which is there in relation with the Eka will be Dvitiya. That means one, and in relation with that, whatever is there, that is two or second. The first and the second. So this way only Apeksha Buddhijanya Dvitvadi Sankhya. So Ekam, Dvitvam, and Eka Bhave Dvitiyam Kutasya. When there is no reference to a particular thing as Ekam, then how can there be Dvitiyam? Dvitiyam cha. So Dvitiya, that includes Tritiya, Chaturtha, etc. Then the opponent may say, Nanu ekameva dvitiyam iti shrutya ekatvam pratipadyate. Are, you say na ekam, but the Upanishad itself says ekameva advitiyam brahma. So when it uses the word ekam, so why do you say that na chaikam? Then he says, no, na ityaha. So Upanishad does not refer to the Brahman as one. It says single. So it actually denies the presence of the second. So therefore, the moment you say Eka, then you start counting. There are two, that means eka means first, then second, third, fourth, etc. So all these will come in. Therefore, we never say it is the first. It is ekam in the sense it is single, alone. That means the lone reality. Kevalatvam. Kevalatvam means ekatvam. Tasya avidyakatvat. Because ekatva itself is avidyaka. But kevalatva is possible in a way. Because it is the absolute Brahman. यदि आत्मनः एकत्वं श्रुत्या न प्रतिपाद्यते तर्हि प्रत्यक्षादि प्रमाणवशात् अनेकत्वमेव स्यादिति. If the scripture does not establish or state the ekatva, then yes, then there will be anekatva. That will lead to dvaita. No, he says. Nacha akevalatvam. That means dvaita is also not there. Neha nanasti kinchana ekameva dvitiyam brahma ataha adesho neti neti. So this way, he says, after describing or expounding about these murta and amurta, atha, adeshaha, neti neti. That means first he has expounded murta amurta, and then he has negated. It is neither murta nor amurta. So this is very important Upanishadic statement. Tarihi sarva pratishedhat shunyameva sya. Acha. If you say na ekam, na dvitiyam, na shun, na kevalam, na cha akevalam, then you deny everything. Then ultimately it will amount to shunyatva, nihilism. Neses na shunyam, asam nevasa bhavati asat brahmeti veda chet, asti brahmeti chet veda santamenam tato viduriti. So this Upanishad also says ki if you understand the Brahman as real, then you will get realization as such. And if you say it is not there, then your experience will be like that. Satyam jnanamanam tam brahma sadeva somya idamagra asit. So all these scriptural sentences do not support the theory of nihilism. They say it is absolutely real, the only reality, that is Brahman. Sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi. So these all say that it is satyam. Sarva brahma adhishtanatvat, sarva badha avaditvacha. So these are very important hetu that sarvam jagat purushavadikam badhitam bhavati. So only till the purusha everything is negated and denied, but purusha or the atma or the brahman, atma cha brahma, it is not negated. And it is the locus of all kinds of illusion. Without a locus, illusion cannot take place. The locus is Brahma or Atma. Tarhi satyatva jnanadi dharmavadapi syaditi. Then it will be like satyatva, dharmatva, hai satyatva, jnanatvadi, dharmavat. Na, nacha ashunyam, ekam advitiyam iti padadvayena sarvabheda pratishedhepi evakarena dharma dharmi bhavadi bheda pratishedha. So there will not be any dharma in that Brahma. Because if you accept dharma, then Brahma will become dharmi. Then there will be dvaita. So there is no dharma, it is nirdharmaka, or it is a kind of nirvishesha, Brahma. Sarvatra hetumaha, because it is advaita katvat. In all these above discussions, you find one hetu, advaita katvat. What is dvaita? Dvidha itam dvitam tasya bhavo dvaitam. So dvidha, dvit prakarataya. So in two ways it manifests. Dvitam. And tad dvaitam namarupabhyam tan nishedha tad abhavaha advaitam. So dvidhetam dvitamittyahu tad bhavo dvaitamichyate. So the Vartika says dvidha itam, dvi plus itam, dvitam, tad bhavaha dvaitam uchyate. So in the same sense, the word dvaita is formed. Na vidyate dvaitam dvida bhavo yatra advaitam iti aksharartha. So that dvaita is absent in a particular state, and that state is known as advaita. Salila eko drashta advaita. So The Shruti also says it is the absolute one ekamatra advaita tattva. Pratiyogi jnanasyeva laghvena abhava buddho karanatvat. Dvaitasya anirvachaniyatvaangikareణ pratyakshadi vedyatvat nishedha upapattiryartha. Then how do you deny? That is the argument. Now Madhusudan Saraswati is giving the explanation that, see, Pratiyogi jnana is enough, not Pratiyogi prama. So jnana can be of two types, prama, aprama also. So Pratiyogi should be definitely there. It is not required. Brahmatmaka jnanamapi jnanameva. So it is laghava. If you include prama in that, there will be gaurava. So therefore, abhava buddho, what is karana? That means, how do we get the cognition of absence? Pratiyogi jnanam paryaptam. Dvaitasya anirvachaniyatva angikarana. And whatever pratiyogi in the form of dvaita that we have already understood as anirvachaniya, let it be there. And that dvaita is there as pratiyogi, only anirvachaniya. Then with that knowledge only, we have negated it in the Brahman. So Brahma ekameva sajatiya vijatiya swagata bheda rahitam tattvam Brahma. So thus the negation of everything in the Brahman is possible. Tarhi etadrisha atma angula nirdeshena pratipadyatam. Okay, if such atma is there, then you point to that. This is atma. But the problem is katham bravini. So idamithataya nirdeshtum ashakyam. That is Brahma. So how can I explain to you? How can I express with the help of words about the Atma? Why? Because that is Advitiya. It is Vak Avishaya. So the ultimate reality is always beyond the reach of words. And whatever we have been trying to express with the help of all Shastra, that is only Dvaita. That's what Jnaneshwar Maharaj also says. Actually, all the scriptures tried to explain the Advaita Brahma, and finally they landed in Dvaita only. And it's very typical. Dvaita bhagi Advaitachi Nirupanachi Vahati Vatakeli. So in Jnaneshwari, in the 13th chapter, he says, so in an attempt to express the true nature of that Brahman, all the scriptures have actually landed in Dvaita. Then Dvaita is the reality, ultimate reality. That should be the purport of all the scriptures. No. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. The ultimate reality is one alone. That is single. And he says, Avachaneneva Provacha Yato Vacho Nivartante Aprapti Manasa Saha. So the Taittiriya Upanishad also has very clearly stated that the reality is beyond the reach of all senses, including mind and speech. Na vijnataram vidyaniyat ityadi shrutibhyaha. So we cannot know about the true Brahman or the reality, and it is beyond. So if all the Dvaita Shastra tries to explain that as the ultimate reality, it is not possible, because the Upanishad itself says, Vaga Vishayatve Vedantanam Kathatra Pramanyamiti. Then the argument will continue. Okay, if it is beyond the reach of the speech or words, then the Shastra which has been claiming to be explaining about the Brahman will become unauthentic. So there will not be any authenticity, because Shastra is claiming that it is telling about Brahma, and you say Brahman is beyond the reach of words. Then all the Shastra will be useless. Na itya avishayepi atmani tad akara vrittimatrena tad avidya nivartakatvat ityaha sarva vedanta siddham. Yes, the words cannot make the Brahman as their object or subject, but tadakara vrittimatrena. But there is one thing, that the antahkarana can assume the form of the Brahman. It can take the antahkarana vritti akara will be there. Then ultimately that will also drop. It's like uh, it's like the something to purify. That particular stone is dropped in the water. It actually cleanses the entire water, and actually while doing that only, it also dissolves in the water. Similarly, the antahkarana vritti is born. All the other vritti are simply destroyed. That means vijatiya pratyaya anantarita. Vijatiya pratyaya viraha purvaka sajatiya vritti. That's only one atmarupa nirvikalpaka vritti. That is there. And that particular vritti will also cease to exist in the state of absolute liberation. And Sarva Vedanta Siddham, and thus the Brahman is proved in all the Vedanta. Tathacha Shrutihi Yasya Matam Tasya Matam Yasya Navedasaha. Kenopanishad says that the one who says that I don't know the Brahman, it is actually known to him. One who says I know the Brahman, it is not known to him. Yes, Avijnatam Vijanatam, Vijnatam Avijanatam. So this is actually the reality. Yan manasaha manute yenahu manomatam tadeva brahmatvam vidhin edam yedidam upasate. Therefore, Kenopanishad says that mind cannot get the knowledge of that Brahman because the Brahman is the factor behind of the all the functions of mind. So mind functions on the energy of Brahman. Then how can the mind can express that? How can the mind express that? Ityadi Ityadihi avishayatvam atmano darshayati. So all these scriptural sentences tell us that the Brahman is beyond the reach of all the words. Tadevam Vedanta Vakyajanya Akhandakara Vritya Vidya Nivruttau Tat Kalpita Sakala Anartha Nivruttau Paramanda Rupasan Kritakrityo Bhavati iti Siddham. So this way, when Vedanta Vakyajanya Akhandakara Vritya, so the Shastra is not useless. The Shastra help us in getting the condition of the internal organ. That means mind or the man that gets the nirvikalpaka vritti in the form of Brahma. So it assumes the form. And that's what in the Panchadashi also we often find phalavyapyatvamevasya shastrakritbhir nivaritam brahmani ajnana nashaya vrittivyaptir apekshita. So vrittivyapti is there. That means a vritti is born, and that is single vritti, that is nirvikalpaka vritti, and it takes the form of the Brahman. Thus, Brahma is vrittivyapya. Phalavyapyatvam nirakritam. Vrittivyaptir apekshita. And then, how do you say akhandakara vritti? So that is a single vritti, that is manovritti, chittavritti. Avidya nivrittau. When that particular chittavritti is born, then that ajnana is removed. Tat kalpita sakala anartha nivrittau. And whatever is born from that avidya, like once avidya is there, then there is ahankara, buddhi, mana, then all the indriya, tanmatra, everything. So sakala anartha is because of that mind. And that mind, when it takes only the form of Brahma, can it take? But that vritti can take. Brahmani ajnana nashaya vritti vyaptir apekshita. Brahmani ajnana nashaya means Brahma vishayaka ajnana nashaya. So when that particular ajnana is removed, to remove that there should be a vritti. And if that vritti is having any other object as its form, then it cannot remove the ajnana of Brahma. How? See, Ghata jnana, if we get, it cannot remove the ajnana of Pata. Yadvishekam jnanam tadgatam ajnanam nivartayati. So if it is Ghata ajnana, to remove that we require Ghata jnana only, not Pata jnana. So Ghata ajnana is removed with the help of Ghata jnana. Similarly, Brahma ajnana can be removed with the help of Brahma jnana. And the jnana Vritta upacharyate. Vritti is also stated sometimes as jnana, so that vritti is required. Otherwise, how can the ignorance of Brahman be removed? So to remove that, a chitta vritti is required, and that chitta vritti is akhandakara. Akhanda, that means vijatiya vritti anabhibhuta. So that kind of chitta vritti is required. Then naturally akhandakara vrittya avidya nivritto. Then when the ajnana is removed, tat kalpita sakalanartha nivritto. When everything is also removed, then there is moksha. Then how everything is removed? Because avidya kshetram uttaresham prasupta tanu vichhinna udarana. So the Yoga Shastra also says in the second pada that avidya is the base of all klesha, all afflictions, whether they are dormant, whether they are expressed, whatever in whatever stage they may be. But ultimately, avidya is the base of all these afflictions. So when avidya is destroyed, everything is also destroyed. Kritakrityo bhavati. In this manner, the jiva gets kritakrityata. That means it's actually all fulfillment. But as such, does the soul have any kritakrityata? Because all this pertains to the buddhi, not to the soul. But still, it is aupacharika, that it is just imposed on him. Like moksha, bandha, everything is imposed. Similarly, kritakrityata is also imposed. Now, we come to the end of the text where Madhusudana Saraswati says, Nastau mitam vyasam ashesham artham samagra sutrairapiyo babandha. He says, I don't bow to that Vyasa who has tried to encapsulate the essence of all the Upanishads in his 555 Sutra, according to Shankara Sampradaya. Vina pitaihi sangrathita khila artham tam shankaram naumi sureshwarancha. But without all these 555 sutras, vina pitaihi, that means without any sutra. Sutra means a thread also. So, with so many threads also, Vyasa Maharshi could not properly get it into the Brahma Sutra. But Shankaracharya, without any threads, he has perfectly tied it. Akhilartham, all the essence of Upanishads he has put in one. Tam Shankaram Naumi, I bow to that Shankaracharya, Sureshwaram Cha, and also Sureshwaracharya, the Vartika Kara. And this way, Laghurapi Bahvarthavat Vahaha Chinta Maniriva Nibandhoyam. Now, Madhusudan Saraswati is extolling the importance of his text, saying that it is small to look at. That means a small treatise on Advaita, but still, Bahvarthavaha, but so many Advaita ideas are presented here. That means, though small, the text Siddhanta Bindu contains all the major doctrines and discussions of Advaita. Madhusudanena munina vihitaha guninam vinodaya. So this treatise has been composed by Madhusudana Saraswati Muni. Guninam vinodaya. So why have you composed this? What is the purpose? He said, Guninam vinodaya. Guni. Gunavan. Guni means Gunavan. That means very meritorious, pious. Such people are Guni. So for their Vinoda. What is Vinoda? It is not comedy. It is not entertainment. But actually, we know that. That means the meritorious and pious people may really relish, enjoy, rejoice the essence of Advaita. So with this purpose only, I have composed this small treatise. Yadatra Saushthavam Kinchit Tad Guror Reva Menahi. Now ultimately, exhibiting his humbleness, Madhusudan Saraswati says that whatever Saushthavam, that means Sushtuta, whatever propriety you find in this work, that belongs to my teachers, not me. Yadatra asaushtavam kinchit tan mamaiva guror nahi. And whatever, even small impropriety you find in the text, that belongs to me, not to my teacher. So all good things, they go to my teachers, and all mistakes, they go to me, because mistakes are mine and merits are of my teachers. And what is actually the Saushtava? So we find there, actually, to establish the essence of the Upanishads, we require the strength of logic, reasoning. And that particular logic, if you find in this text, the credit goes to my teachers. That's what Madhusudana Saraswati says. So the Tarkanam Saushthavam. So because they have explained, I have got all this Tarka. And that is Achara Parampara, Guru Parampara. So I give this credit to that great tradition. Asaushtavam. Asaushtam means in Bhamati, in the Bhashya, Bhamati, Kalpataru, in all these texts you find a simplicity, a very simple exposition. If it is not found in my text, please understand that I am incapable. So all these mistakes come to me. And I have also adopted at some places the method of Navyanyaya while explaining few concepts. So that kind of difficulty, that actually mine, and all simplicity, that goes to my teachers. So this way, after saying the purpose, everything, Madhusudana Saraswati says, Bahuya chanaya mayayam alpo balabhadrasya krite kruto nibandhaha. He says, my student Balabhadra, he has requested me many times, and then I have conceded to his request, and I have composed this text. Yadadushtam ihasti yacha dushtam tadudara sudhiyo vivechayantu. Sudhiyaha. That means people who have got discrimination or discretory power, the ability to discrete, the ability to separate good from bad, the ability to sift out everything. So they are Sudhiyaha. They have good logic and discretion. So such people, Vivechayantu, please, you think about that. You study my book and see what is dushta, what is adushta, what is good and what is bad. So you please study the text and decide. So thus I request all the scholars, real scholars. Iti. So this way, Srimat Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya, Sri Vishweshwara Saraswati Bhagavat Pujapada Shishya, Sri Madhusudana Saraswati Virachitaha, Siddhanta Bindu Nama Granthaha, Samaptaha. So now, the text written by Madhusudana Saraswati, disciple of Vishweshwara Tirtha, it concludes now. So thus, we have come to the end of the small treatise, Siddhanta Bindu. And it is very important because Madhusudana Saraswati has composed many texts like Advaita Siddhi, Siddhanta Bindu, Vedanta Kalpataru. So many texts he has written in support of Advaita. Bhakti Rasayanam also he has written. And all these texts actually give us a very authentic understanding of Shankaracharya's Advaita. And through these texts only, we find the legacy of Advaita, how it has come down to us. And especially in the galaxy of such great works, you find a distinct place of this Siddhanta Bindu. Because in a nutshell, it gives all the major theories of Advaita like Drishti Srishtivada, Srishti Drishtivada, then Pratibhimbavada, Avachedavada, Vrittivada, Vritti Prayojanatavada, Mokshavada. So all these vadas are presented here. So therefore, a very honest and thorough study of Siddhanta Bindu also gives us a clear understanding of Adi Shankaracharya's Advaita if we cannot get a direct access into his Prasthanatrayi Bhashya. So this will definitely help us in understanding what the previous teachers have discussed, analyzed, and established in the history of Advaita. Like first Shankaracharya, then Vachaspati Mishra, then direct Shankaracharya's Sishya Sureshwaracharya, then all the other like Khandana Khandakadhikara, Sriharsha, Prakashatmayati, Chitsukacharya. So all these theories presented in different books have been compiled and very systematically arranged, and they are strengthened with his own logic and presented in this book Siddhanta Bindu. So that's why I strongly recommend the study of this book to any beginner in the Advaita system of Shankaracharya to get a clear and authentic understanding of Shankaracharya's Advaita philosophy. And once you read, you may not get the idea, but repeatedly if you study the text, you will definitely enjoy the beauty of the text and the beauty of the strength of reasoning. That's very important here. And though it belongs to one of the tough texts of Advaita, I tell you that it is not that tough like the Advaita Siddhi of the same author. So it is not that tough and very useful. So therefore, today is a very good day that at least we have completed this text of Madhusudana Saraswati, and we will again meet with another text of another important Shastra, thus Swadhyayan na pramaditavyam. So in this way, we will continue our journey in the spiritual life, in the Swadhyaya, without any fail. And see you again. Shubharatrihi. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.